The story of Dushyant and Shakuntala, Part 2. Shakuntala was shocked by the king's response. In tears, she said, "O king, it was you who married me. I know that I don't come from royalty, but I am not a liar. I am the daughter of a sage, and money doesn't have any meaning for me. Values and virtues are the only held I possess. I married you because I loved you, and not because I wanted to become a queen. O king, hear me out. Listen to the memories of our time together. I'm sure that you will be able to remember it all." Shakuntala went on to share a few incidents, trying her best to remind her husband of their past. But alas, it was of no use. Finally, the king said, "Look, do you have any kind of actual proof? I'm unable to recollect anything from your stories." Suddenly, Shakuntala remembered the ring that he had given her. "Of course," she cried out, "I can show you one thing." She stretched out her hand in front of the king and said, "You gave me this ring." But when she looked at it, she realized to her horror that the ring was lost. "Oh my God, it's gone!" The king waited. Shakuntala searched desperately for the ring, but couldn't find it anywhere in her belongings. Gautamiji asked worriedly, "Where did you leave it, Shakuntala?" "I had it when we were in the boat, but I don't remember anything clearly now," Shakuntala replied with sadness in her voice and tears in her eyes. The people in the court began snickering and laughing at her. Helpless, helpless, Shakuntala left the court in silence. Dushyant, though convinced that he hadn't met Shakuntala before, was still left with a terrible sense of despondency. Gautami and the other sages decided to return to the ashram, but Shakuntala insisted on staying back in the city. When she was finally alone, Shakuntala remembered her mother who had abandoned her in the forest. She cried out, "Oh mother, look what fate has done to me. My parents left me when I was born, and now my husband refuses to recognize me so soon after our marriage. I'm pregnant and I don't want to go back to my father's home in disgrace. You are the only one who can help me." True to her promise, Menaka came down from the heavens and took Shakuntala to sage Marichi's ashram, where Shakuntala gave birth to a healthy baby boy and named him Bharat. A few days later, a soldier came to Dushyant and said, "Sir, the local market is in chaos after we arrested a fisherman." "Why? What did he do?" asked Dushyant. "He was trying to sell a royal ring in the local market. We identified it as yours and arrested him." "Bring the fisherman to me," the king ordered. When the fisherman was brought to the king, it was evident that he was scared out of his wits. In a shaky voice, the man said, "Sir, I'm just a poor fisherman. When I put the net out today, I caught a big fish. Pleased with my find, I asked my wife to cook the fish and make us something special. But when she cut it, she found a huge ring inside the stomach. I thought that the quickest way for me to make some money would be to sell it in the market. While I was at the shop, a few of your soldiers arrested me. I don't know anything about this ring other than where I got it from. I had no idea that a simple fish could bring so much trouble. Please let me go, sir. I'm telling you the truth." The ring was handed over to the king. The moment he saw it, he remembered everything about Shakuntala. It was the ring that he had given his wife. He recalled her tear streaked face and how he had mercilessly sent her away. She was pregnant with his child, but he hadn't cared a bit. Instead, he had allowed the people in this court to humiliate her. Overcome with remorse, Dushyant rewarded the fisherman and instructed his soldiers to find Shakuntala. They searched every nook and corner of the kingdom but couldn't locate her. Meanwhile, Bharat was growing up quickly under Shakuntala's care. He was a plucky young boy whose playmates were wild animals. Years rolled by. One day, Indradev requested Dushyant to help him in a battle against the Asuras. Dushyant agreed and managed to defeat the Asuras. On his way back from Indradev's abode, he stopped to take rest at sage Marichi's ashram. There, he saw a wonderful sight. A young boy was fearlessly playing with the lion cub and forcing its mouth open so he could count its teeth. Such a brave child! His parents are fortunate to have him as their son, thought King Dushyant. It would be wonderful to have an heir like him to take my dynasty forward. The king looked around and noticed a strange amulet on the ground. He picked it up and asked the boy, "Is this yours?" "Yes, it must have fallen down." Suddenly, a maid came running to Dushyant, saying, "Please don't touch it, sir. It is dangerous." "Why? What's so dangerous about this black thread?" "Our Guru Marichi has powered the amulet with a special mantra to protect this boy, Bharat. If anyone other than his parents or Guru touch the amulet, it will turn into a snake and bite the person holding it. Please drop it immediately," she said, panic stricken. The king Dushyant only smiled and held on to the amulet. Hearing the loud voices, Shakuntala came out of the ashram to see what was going on. When she saw Dushyant, she stopped in her tracks and stared at him in disbelief. Dushyant had looked back at her, overpowered by guilt. Shakuntala had been kind and loving to him, and he had been nothing but cruel to her. The young maiden he had fallen in love with had turned into a mature single mother now. Her once innocent eyes now shone with wisdom and intelligence. He begged Shakuntala for forgiveness. But by now, Shakuntala had understood the reason for the turn of events. It wasn't Dushyant's fault that hadn't recognized her. So she consoled her husband, saying, "There's nothing to forgive. Life's journey is filled with both good and bad. Some things are beyond our control. It was our destiny. We had to live this way." King Dushyant went straight to Sage Marichi, sought permission to take his family home, and finally brought Shakuntala and Bharat back to Hastinapur. Bharat grew up to be a great ruler and conquered lands all over India. In time, he came to be known as Bharat Chakravarti or Bharat Sarvabhauma. He performed many yajnas such as the Ashwamedha Yajna, the Rajasuya Yajna, the Vajpaya Yajna, and the Vishwavijit Yajna, among others. Usually, a successful king performed only one of the yajnas, but the warrior King Bharat surpassed everyone. He performed hundreds of Ashwamedha yajnas, 100 on the banks of river Yamuna, 300 on the banks of river Saraswati, and 400 on the banks of river Ganga. It is this Bharat, an ancestor of the Pandavas and the Kauravas, after whom our country is named, Bharat. Our land is also known as Bharatvarsh or the Kingdom of